Good afternoon. So glad to see real people. Three-dimensional. The only problem is no mute button for some of you, but just kidding. Good afternoon. My name is Rob Schick. I'm the president of Board of Trustees for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo, and today is my second day, so if I'm not very good at it, you'll know why. First, I want to thank the staff. This is a heck of a setup. I would think they did a wonderful job, so give them a round of applause. Thank you. Everyone here is a special guest. This is our first in-person ceremony we've been able to host in 18 months, so thank you for being first. It's very fitting that we have gathered to honor the long and distinguished career of Dave Wehrmeister. His audience here includes family, lots of them, friends, lots of them, colleagues, lots of them, members, and distinguished community friends. We really want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I know it means a lot to Dave and his family. And now I'd like to introduce the president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo, Jim Ravis. Jim has been with us for just under a year, and while new to the movement, he has quickly developed a passion for our mission. Jim?
Excuse me, my slide, the spectacles on there. Everybody, in person and actually in close proximity and not over Zoom. I don't know why. I'm very happy not to be on Zoom. But thank you, Rob, and thank you again to everybody here joining us today. It's a privilege to be a part of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo and to continue in the tradition to serve those in most need. When we asked the Boys and Girls Club recently if they could, two unique speakers to us today to recognize Dave Wehrmeister, they sent two of their most distinguished leaders. It's our pleasure to introduce to you, first of all, John Miller. Many of you here today know John. He grew up in the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo, starting at Camp Big Silver in 1988, where he quickly developed a passion for the mission and ultimately continued his career as a unit professional. However, the movement had bigger things in store for him. After several years as a club-level professional, in 1996, he joined the Boys and Girls Clubs of America as the Midwest Regional Service Director. Over the course of his 24-year BGCA career, he has held a series of leadership posts with increasing responsibility, including his current role as Senior Vice President for Affiliate Relations. Today, John just happened to bring along his boss. We are very pleased to have the Boys and Girls Clubs of America's President and CEO, Jim Clark. After several years of club service in Milwaukee, Jim selected to become the Boys and Girls Clubs of America's President and CEO in January of 2012. He quickly realized that in order to be an effective leader, he needed input from leaders throughout North America and the country. And one of his first calls that he placed was to Dave Wehrmeister, asking him to join his Presidential Advisory Council. Jim Clark now leads one of the largest youth service organizations in the United States, and we are honored that he is here with John Miller to join us today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to each of you John Miller.
This is the introduction for every meeting now. It's a real pleasure to be back. Thank you, Jim, and welcome to the Boys and Girls Club family. It's a real pleasure to be back in Toledo. As Jim said, I started my career at Camp Big Silver and then became a full-time club director here in Toledo, and my supervisor was Dave Wehrmeister. So my boss, Jim, is going to talk about Dave as a professional. I'd like to spend a little time sharing some thoughts of Dave from a personal standpoint. You can't talk about Dave as a Boys and Girls Club professional without starting with Dave as a Boys and Girls Club kid. When Dave came to the club at 9, he met Stanley Wendowski. And many of you know Stan because Stan has been an indelible part of the Boys and Girls Club movement for the last 55 years. Stan, are you here? Wave. There you go. Stan provided Dave with opportunities and support to reach his full potential. Stan has been doing that with the club here and with Dave since that time. It's through that relationship and encouragement that Dave worked part-time as a junior staff at the club. The club was his home and still is. The people were his family and they still are. Dave truly understands the power of mission. Now, Dave is too modest to say this, but he would have been successful in any career he chose. He has the drive, the intellect, ethics, and the emotional intelligence to do almost anything. He chose a career in helping others succeed, and he has been fabulously successful at that. You know, I didn't want to just speak for myself, so I reached out to former Boys and Girls Club kids and staff members, people like Beth McGarry, Kevin Hagner, Dawn Salswedall, John Reynolds, Angela Brown, Lisa Brahowski, and quite a few others, and some of them are actually here today. Food. Taking them to new cities as part of the Keystone program and helping them become better public speakers with presentations to board members and business leaders. Lisa Booker shared that he gave her her first job, and if not for him and the club, college would probably not have been possible. It would have been out of reach, and she wouldn't be where she is today. Beth McGarry Sanchez wrote, "Dave taught me to be persistent, to strive for perfection, and never leave a job unfinished. These values have played a major role in who I am today professionally and personally." Lieutenant Colonel John Reynolds writes, "Dave provided opportunities that forced me to become an extrovert and learn how to manage and motivate others, not just myself. I am still an introvert, but I know when and how to transform thanks to the club and Dave. This has helped me with jobs at PNC, the University of Toledo, the University of Notre Dame, and the U.S. Army. There are countless stories told and untold about Dave's impact on young people. He has saved and changed lives for over 4 decades here in Toledo and across the country. And while this chapter of his life is ending, there's still many more stories yet to be written. You know, Dave, I close with these words as we dedicate this facility to you. You have fought the good fight, you have finished the race, you have kept the faith, and Toledo is a better place because of you. Thank you. It's one of the few times I get to speak before him, but it's my pleasure to introduce Jim Clark, President and CEO of Boys and Girls Club.
Well, thank you, John. And, you know, Dave, you and I have something in common, and it's a person. It's John Miller. We were both fortunate enough to have worked with John in many different capacities. When I was a local executive CEO, John was my director of organizational development or regional service director at the time. I always kidded around and thought he drew the short straw if he had to deal with me. But part of the rest of it is history, and as I transitioned to this job, one of the real reasons I'm here is because of John Miller. And we're going to talk a lot about Dave, but Dave obviously shaped, formed, and created a tremendous individual and professional in John. So, you know, John's got that real casual, semi-Southern kind of drawl, and he said, "Hey, Jim, you know, what do you think about going up to see Dave in Toledo?" And I said, "Well, absolutely." And he says, "Well, we got a little work to do while we're up there." And I said, "Of course, it wouldn't be a Boys and Girls Club trip without some work." So, so thank you for the intro, John, for everything that you've done as well. So I've got a few things to present, but I do want to take my chance and poke at Dave a little bit here. somewhat emotional in a lot of ways, and what Jim talked about in terms of the President's Advisory Council that I really formed the day I walked in the door at Boys and Girls Clubs of America was true. Dave was a charter member, inaugural member. He was the first member. And for a couple days, I thought he might be the only member. But I was successful in recruiting a few others. But it really speaks to what Dave is all about as a professional. He never says or never said no. No matter what the ask was or the question was or the call was, Dave would step forward to not just represent Toledo, but really to represent the entire region and country when it came to our mission, our movement, and of course, what this is all about. And Dave understood that crystal clear. It begins with the ending in mind first, kids, and kids at the front of everything we think about and everything that we do. You've probably seen and heard already today a little bit about his history, but he's basically had every job that you could have here in Toledo at the Boys and Girls Club. And club kid, went on to represent Ohio as the Youth of the Year. It's a big deal in Boys and Girls Club land. So obviously it also was a big deal for Dave and certainly what led him to where he is today. But, you know, Dave, for decades, he is respected by all. Colleagues, peers, volunteers, partners, sponsors, everyone respects Dave. Part of the reason why is he always looked at the bigger picture. Sure, Toledo was his number one responsibility, and that came first. But then it was what we need to do as a movement to do better for kids who need us most. And he never lost sight of that, never lost sight of what was important. When you hear the words servant leader, that's Dave Wehrmeister. And John said it probably best. The legacy and the impact that he will leave behind will go into perpetuity because he has provided so much when it comes to changing and saving lives right here in this community that it'll be difficult for anyone to equal that accomplishment. But he lit the way. And that's another significant part of Dave Wehrmeister. He believed deeply in professional development, the future, the ongoing commitment to this profession as a Boys and Girls Club, executive or volunteer or professional. And that truly to me will be his legacy, that he's leaving footprints for all of us to follow in the years ahead. You know, as I thought about Dave too, he never took any shortcuts, never had the fast plan. It was always built on a lot of thought, a lot of belief, and a firm grip on what reality is. You know, when I first met Dave, I was in Milwaukee, CEO of that local organization. And I think it was at a conference or some get-together for Boys and Girls Club. I met Dave, and I was like, wow, you know, this guy is impressive. A, how do I steal him? And then B, how do I learn from what he's been doing here? And so I recruited John again to go on a trip. You know, John thought it was a sightseeing trip. I was probably a little more self-serving. I wanted to really learn some different things from different organizations. And that's when I really got to know Dave. And I remember coming back from that trip, and I thought to myself, wow, what an impressive individual. How can I be like him? I think that really tells you about Dave in a lot of ways. He's full of heart, full of soul, leads with compassion, empathy. He's someone to listen to learn a lot from, cares deeply about everybody. Probably a lesson all of us could take a little more seriously. He's a leader of leaders, an influencer. To me, he was always the crown jewel of the Midwest region when it came to Boys and Girls Clubs of America. He also knew when changes needed to happen and take place, and he made sure his voice was heard, and he always supported the right direction and the right things to do. I can tell you this movement, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, would not be where it is today if it wasn't for Dave Wehrmeister. That's the profound impact he has had on not just Toledo, not just the Midwest, but this entire country when it comes to serving youth and this mission. I know he's joined today by his family, Lisa, Anna, Adam, Nate. Thank you for being here. It's a big day. It's a big celebration. To me, there's a lot of things happening in this country, but there's nothing more important than what's happening and taking place right here. Dave's a great husband, great father, as I said, a great leader and great professional. He's a great human being, and he's a great American. They just don't make him like Dave Wehrmeister anymore. So to me, this clubhouse, and we've got some recognitions to present, is probably a little bit more than he expected, because he's a humble guy. I can't even look at him because I'm going to start tearing up. He's such a humble guy and filled with humility, and really is all about what's right and what's good and what this movement and this country stands for. So I know I speak for many in saying thank you for everything you've done. Sorry for the delay. A little pandemic got in the way of some of this. But Dave, we just couldn't have done it without you. And I hope that rings true to your entire family, because this is something incredible that you've done over the course of your lifetime and career. So John, if you like. Dave, why don't you just come on up? Let's get this over with. So what we're presenting to Dave, first and foremost, is the National Service to Youth Award, which is actually, there's two of them on here, as you can see on the left side, and then the National Professional Service Award for Dave's commitment and service to this mission and movement over the past four plus decades now. So congratulations again, Dave. I'm not sure if there's any lawyers or attorneys in the room, but this is one of those beautifully crafted legal documents that has a lot of whereases on it. But what this is, bottom line, is it's a resolution in honor of Dave Wehrmeister and the dedication of the Dave Wehrmeister Boys and Girls Club of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo. And it goes on to articulate all of Dave's accomplishments, what he's done for this community and our movement. And it's presented this 8th day of June 2021, and there's a couple signatures on there, but Dave, congratulations again. Yeah, I was just about to, his hands are a little slippery, it's a little humidity in here. So last but not least, this is a special gift. Obviously, Lisa will probably put it to great use on the dining room table somewhere. But it really is the commemoration of this club, this clubhouse in Dave's name. And on behalf of Boys and Girls Clubs of America, our Board of Governors, and our entire staff, Dave, thank you for everything that you've done, that you're doing and will continue to do, and congratulations again.
I hate it when men cry because then I start to cry, so sorry. Thank you, Jim, very much. That was fantastic. And welcome home, John. We're really honored to have you both here today. I'm sure Dave has much appreciated it, even though the Kleenex was coming out. So I have a quick question. What do you get when you combine a star college football player with a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degree? Anyone know? He is our host today. His name is Dr. Ravis Durant, the superintendent of the Toledo Public Schools. Welcome. Thanks for having us. We would like everyone to know that as of yesterday, he is also a trustee of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo. Congratulations. So thank you for joining. It's even more special since he is a member of the Boys and Girls of Toledo Hall of Fame. So TPS proud isn't just a catchphrase for Dr. Durant. If you know him and everything he does and says and wears, he shows the pride in his hometown schools. The vision of excellence he has for the district and the belief he has in the students and staff to achieve that standard show through. A native of East Toledo, Dr. Durant could not be prouder of being a graduate of two Toledo institutions, Waite High School and the University of Toledo. A former club kid, he did pretty well, didn't he? Employed by TPS since 1999, Dr. Durant has been a teacher, administrator, assistant superintendent, and was named the 30th superintendent of Toledo Public Schools in December of 2013. Please welcome Dr. Ravis Durant.
Good afternoon. Whoa, good afternoon. Again, this day couldn't come soon enough. As you recall, as we went through the pandemic, we said we were waited out because Zoom would not have done this day any justice. And so I tell you in the story as it came to me, is that when a person had been in a position so long, you could never fathom them not being there. I mean, when you go from a child to a teenager to an adult and to a professional and see an individual in a position for so long, it's hard just as children to look at someone as a mentor, even a father figure, to be able to see them out of the light of the position. And so when the person called and stated that he was retiring, I said I have to hear it from him myself. Right? I mean, I literally, and he did, and he contacted me and said it was time. But I would accept it from no other than himself, because at the end of the day, that's who he is, a man of his word, and everything he says, and everything that he does. And so when he said that, I immediately, as I spoke to Mr. Epstein, named the location and dedicated after him. But more importantly, not just for the fact of his longevity, but his innovation and trailblazing ideas and concepts that he brought here to the city of Toledo. That is flaming throughout the country when he began to recognize that there's opportunity that we both serve children and could do it within the same house. We merged school and education, we merged after-school program and club, and put them all in one facility, and Sherman became ground zero for that concept. Understand the concept that's carried throughout the country, but more importantly, has become a platform for myself, and that's becoming the leadership of a school district, that at the end of the day, you are more efficient and more effective with this concept. We now have all our agencies working within the school. When they come to the table, the conversation is, if you're not willing to move in, at the end of the day, you're not invested. And so most agencies have moved in. We now have churches operating on Sunday within the school. Understand all the overhead that is saved through many of these organizations that allow agencies to strive, particularly in the non-for-profit world. We went from Sherman to Marshall Elementary, which is a STEM school named after the Carson family, as well as moving right on into East Broadway Middle School, or East Broadway on the east side, having 3 locations all from this inception. But I say one of the things that was the most heart-touching was to go and be at one of the conventions that everyone from across the country came to in regard to the Youth of the Year. And this young man had graduated from Libby High School. And it was one of the most touching stories I've ever heard, because at the end of the day, some people don't recognize that in TPS, we have the highest percentage of homelessness among children in the state of Ohio. this young man came out and he opened up and dangled a bunch of membership cards that were all on a string. And the words that he said were so profound and touching. He said, "These are the keys to the only home I have ever known." They were the memberships each and every year that he received of the Boys and Girls Club. Understand and saying that he had never grown to adapt to any other location than the Boys and Girls Club that had raised him and brought him, and that was the roof over his head, shoes on his feet, and the food that he eats. And so it was so touching because understand that some people don't understand the concept of that membership card. Understand, individuals, I had that membership card. And when you're that child, that's one of the very few things you own was in that membership card. Mom and dad has credit cards, they have all the other things, but as a child, you wanna mimic it, but you can't get it. It's the only thing that we have in our wallet. I had a big old wallet, all I had was this membership card, right? Well, this membership card was so big and thick, I couldn't even get it into the transparency sheet on the front, because back then it was very thick, and I have like an OCD, it used to make me mad because I couldn't get a perfect writing on there. But again, I tell you that there's no money in that wallet, no credit card in that wallet, but it was the inception of me building out my wallet. Because then I wanted to get a library card. Then I wanted to get other membership cards. And by the time I became a teenager, my dad got me into the membership of working at the gym, and so I had a gym membership card. And my wallet began to fill up, all stemming from the mindset of owning membership and being part of something that's what the Boys and Girls Club enculturated in the minds of children. You don't go on to be the Kiwanis Club or the Rotarian Club unless you're in a club earlier in age. You begin to understand the association as well as the buy-in that brings part of these great institutions. At the same time, you never know, particularly in small communities such as Toledo, how great a person is until you view how they are viewed from those on the outside. I wish you could have been at that national conference, because at the end of the day, when they came, they were treating him and lining up to him like he was the Godfather. I mean, I was waiting for him to put out his ring so they could just start going in and start kissing the ring. They were lining up for him. And all I could think in my mind, he was probably saying, "I'm gonna offer you a membership you can't refuse." But again, that's a testament of the 50 years he spent in the Boys and Girls Club. At the same time, the 20 years was in the leadership of the Boys and Girls Club. And that somebody said that I said at the end of the day that at the end of the day he started off at 10 years of age, and he's going to continue on to 110 years of age. And so again, I say to you, Mr. Wehrmeister, I appreciate your friendship, I appreciate your leadership, your mentorship, and all that you do for the children, the community. Continue to fight the good fight, brother. Amen.
Wow, I want to go play football now after that. That got me motivated. Thank you, Dr. Grant. Really appreciate it. Now that all of the great things have been said about Dave, not all, we still have some to go, but I'll leave some for later. So I really just have to say that I'm honored and humbled to be here introducing Dave, the man of the hour, and the man of maybe half a century, Dave Wehrmeister. A few words.
Now try, Rob. We'll see how it goes. My doctors told me that my public speaking days were over. They didn't know all of you folks. Well, thank you, Rob, Jim, John, Jim, Romulus. Welcome, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you for being here, and I appreciate all the wonderful remarks. I'm honored and humbled by this dedication. Thank you so much for being here, especially all of you who traveled from many states to get here. Thank you to Toledo Public Schools for hosting us today. I thank God each day for giving me that day. and I've adopted a Ray Wiley Hubbard song lyric as my daily inspiration. It reads, "The days I keep my gratitude higher than my expectations. I have really good days. In this, today I have my gratitude is exceptionally high. And as promised, this is one damn fine day." I joined the club at age 10, and I never dreamed that I'd find a home away from home, a calling, or even to have my name on a club. That was unheard of and never been my mindset. Early on in my career, I was just lucky enough to listen to some of the good advice of the people around me. And that advice was, surround yourself with quality people and you'll do well. Well, that certainly proved true in my case. I don't know that I'm worthy of all this attention, but I do know that everything that's been accomplished here was done with the help, the love, and the support of each of you in this room in watching this. This day would not be possible without each of you. Now, it would take me days to start naming names, and I'm not going to recognize. I have been blessed with a great family support system. Thank you to my wife, Lisa, for being my best friend and my loudest cheerleader. Life threw us some pretty sour lemons a few years ago, and she made them into the sweetest lemonade. I think it was the vodka, but I'm not sure. Nicest, wittier person that I know, and I love you. Thank you also to my children, Adam, Nathan, and Anna, for your sacrifices and support over the years, and there were plenty of sacrifices. You make me proud every day. My brother and sister and their families are here to support and encourage me just as they have been all my life. Thank you. And over the years, I've worked with some wonderful, dedicated staff teams. While some of the names have changed, the players have changed along the way. Our success has always been a team effort. Some of them are here that I hired. Some of you I might have even fired. It was nothing personal. I need to thank my friends and the great staff at Boys and Girls Club of America and all the wonderful people working in clubs around the country. Many of them are watching this today. But in Toledo, I credit and thank those 9 directors who served before me because they laid the foundation for the amazing history that this organization has. It was Ed Johansson who taught me how to be patient, and it was a tough lesson to learn, believe me. And Ken Rubin, who showed me that this work could and should be fun. Thank you, Ken. One person that's been with me for the entire journey, from my first days as a club member until today, is Stanley Wendowski. 55 years. Just absolutely amazing. Thank you, Stan, for being my mentor, my friend for the last 55 years. It has been a great run. And it's been my pleasure to work with the best and most engaged board in the movement. Many of my board presidents are here. They have been my supporters, my friends, and my confidants, and my boss. I've enjoyed and learned much from each and every one of them. And along the way, many stories and beautiful friendships were created. I caution that you don't believe everything that they say, though. None of what we do is possible without our donors. Thank you all for what you do each year and what you will continue to do to support our mission. Thank you to United Way, who's our longest supporting partner. And as Jim said, the end game in mind, I am so grateful for the many parents and club members that I've had the honor to work with, and all the countless memories that you have helped me provide. It has been remarkable, and I don't see her. Maisha Hicks is here. Where is Maisha? Oh, there she is. The memories will never leave me. Thank you for traveling to get here. Thank you to the Kiwanis Club of Toledo. From the start of this site, they joined us here at Sherman as a partner, and they've done nothing less than continue to provide consistent financial and volunteer support. Many years ago, I said, there is no more rewarding career than that at the Boys and Girls Clubs. I assure you that that is true. Thank you for providing me with my home away from home. I'm grateful for your help, support, and prayers along the way. Thank you for being here to share this recognition with me. It has been a privilege to belong and an honor to
I believe this is the time for Rick Mann and Don Harbaugh to come on down. Yeah, I don't know about that. Couple of hip guys. You ready, Chief? You're the lead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rick Mann. I'm joined today by Don Harbaugh. Don and I have the distinct pleasure of serving as board presidents under the guidance and direction of Dave Wehrmeister. We also share an anniversary date. Don and I both joined the board 26 years ago in 1995. So, as many in this room can attest, Dave's thoughtful guidance was the key to ensuring sound and steady leadership at the board level. Today we are here to present gifts to commemorate this special occasion. First, there is an original artist rendering of the club attached to this building, the David Wehrmeister Club, which you will note was on the invitation. And there's also some commemorative gifts for today. There's the rendering. You're welcome to come up and look at it after the ceremony. Do you have room on your walls for these things? No room on your walls?
Build on an extension.
And now Don has arranged for several articles highlighting your accomplishments, Mr. Wehrmeister, stay here, to be mounted and framed. Don, would you like to share?
Yes. Thanks. First of all, I thank the guy upstairs that this gentleman is here today with us, because we went through some tough stuff. The Blade actually did a really nice article on Dave, August 8th, 2020. And I thought it might be a nice thing to add to the wall of this great facility. And here it is.
Longtime Boys and Girls Club of Toledo leader leaves outside legacy behind, and that is an understatement.
Actually, I have two of those, and one for this facility, then one Dave can take home with him,
or whatever he wants to do. But I thought it was, we've done sort of these things over the years. My family has used this particular facility down in Florida, Lauderdale, Florida. They're beautiful. They're just really nice. So, Dave, you deserve it more than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Don. There's never enough to give Dave. We've all had so much, but I was thinking about buying him a new wall because he has a lot of awards. And I would say, because they're both very good cooks, especially Mexican, that bowl would hold a lot of chips. And I didn't want to forget to announce that the mayor, great Mayor Wade Kepskevich, is here in case I forgot, so I'm sorry if I did. He's been quite supportive of our club, so we appreciate that, Mayor. So once again, thanks everyone for coming. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. This concludes our formal ceremony. However, we are offering tours.
Welcome to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Toledo. You will be taking a virtual tour of our newest club, the David Wehrmeister Boys and Girls Club. Rededicated this June, the club is really our first school-side club and began serving youngsters 10 years ago. In a concept which was relatively new and untested, the clubs and Toledo Public Schools entered a unique partnership. The David Wehrmeister Boys and Girls Club offers full-service programming to nearly 800 members. Each day after school and in the summer, club members can pursue their interests and increase their skills. Our guiding principles of encouraging healthy lifestyles, assuring academic success, and assisting young people to develop good character and become leaders in their community are evident in the daily program opportunities this Boys and Girls Club offers. Dave Wehrmeister has been a club kid since he was 10 years old. With a supportive family, strong faith, and his club involvement, Dave developed into a leader, first at the club and administrative levels here in Toledo, but Dave's influence is spread around the country. Many club professionals consider him a mentor and model for effective Boys and Girls Club leadership. When last year Dave retired after 20 years as executive director, his absence was keenly felt by many, but that quickly changed to gratitude for his service. It was with the unanimous support of all who know him that our board has officially renamed this club the David Wehrmeister Boys and Girls Club.